warm fire flickered inside the cabin, bright enough to show old-fashioned wooden beams on the ceiling and bearskin rugs on the floor. There were no windows in here, just giant vid screens on the walls. The king sat Lucky down at a dark oak table with many chairs round it, carved from the same wood. Lucky sat there, dazed, exhausted, and amazed. "We did it," he was thinking. "We found my father and we found the king. Now he's going to stop the war and save the stars. He's going to tell me why I've got this power. And Gala was wrong. I used it again and I didn't die. I didn't burn my life away. I'm going to live." He basked in a warm glow as his father welcomed the others into his cabin. "Captain Knox," he said, "it's been too long. And can that be Mystica?" He peered at the old lady as Frolics laid her down on the bearskin rugs. Mystica was weak, pale, and clearly in pain, but she still looked grand in spite of it all. Her golden eyes were clear and bright again, almost too bright, like pulses of supernova light. "Yes, it's me, Theobroma," she said, warming her hands by the fire. "I'm not at my beautiful best, after a spell in your jail, but you can't get rid of me that easily." The king smiled at that. His face was full of compassion, his voice warm and sweet. "I must apologize for the way you were treated," he said. "Please understand. This is a time of war. Many Axo suffered and died because of the humans. My officers did not know who you were. They made a mistake." "And the other people in the caves?" asked Frolics. "They're all mistakes too?" "It's unfortunate if innocents have to suffer," said the king. "It's not a perfect system. We know that, but we do our best." Frolics didn't argue. He just hung back and watched the king silently with his starry blue eyes. The door opened. Lucky was brought new clothes and a pair of cloven hoof boots. Then trays of food were brought in, held aloft on silver platters. There were racks of meat and roasted birds, a huge dish of eyeballs, and Zocco for everyone. "Eat, my friends," said the king, biting with relish into a leg of lamb. "I have an appetite tonight. Let us celebrate. My son has come back to me." Lucky took some eyeballs, but he couldn't eat. His head was spinning with all that had happened. Bixa didn't even bother with the food. "But if you know your son's an Astraeus," she said, "and you know he's half human, then you must know the stars didn't want this war. Why else would an Astraeus come down like that? He's proof that the stars want peace." "Peace?" said the king. "Do you know what the humans are doing even as we speak? They are killing Aquarius." "And the only way to save it," said Bixa, "is to make peace. You have to do it, or it'll be the end of everything. Gala told us that, and so did Major Dashwood." "Major Dashwood," scoffed the king. "He was a shadow guard. One of them." He shook his head and sank his teeth into the lamb, ripping meat from the bone, stripping it bare. "No, warrior girl. You are right that we must save the stars, but there are better ways of doing that. Aren't there, Astraeus?" He turned to Lucky, his eyes shining with passion and belief. But Lucky had questions for his father. Questions he had crossed the whole galaxy to ask. "If I'm really an Astraeus," he said, "then why am I here? What am I meant to do with my power?" The king held out his big broad hands. "Isn't it obvious? I knew war was coming, and I knew it would be long and hard and bitter. We needed something to tip the balance in our favor, a secret weapon. And you," he said, "you are that weapon." Lucky stared at his father. "A weapon?" he said numbly. "Is that why I am to you?" "You are my son, my only son. But yes, you are also a weapon that will win this war by destroying our enemies forever." Lucky shifted in his chair. Its back was very high. The oak felt hard and unyielding beneath him. Perhaps it was a chair fit for kings and princes, but it was beginning to make him feel uncomfortable. "But I'm not even a good fighter," he protested. "I'm clumsy, useless. If you need a fighter, Bixa's the one you want." His father smiled. I've seen your power, my son. It is greater than any fighter, greater than anything known before to humans or Axar. He threw the bare lamb bone down on his plate. That is what I prayed for. That is why I found the lost legends, made the sacrifices, and performed the rituals to summon an Astraeus from the sky. And that is why the stars sent you, to destroy the humans. Lucky shivered at his words. His father could be so warm and welcoming, yet so ruthless. His gentle features hardened when he spoke of the humans. A different tone came into his voice, a tone you could not argue with. "Listen to yourself, Theobroma," said Mystica by the flickering fire. "Do you not remember? We're all connected. We're all one. From the stars we all came." "Spare me your sermon," said the king, his tone growing more bitter. "You Star Talkers were always so naive. The humans started this war. But now at last we have something that can finish it. Something greater than the science that they can conceive of." He turned to Lucky. "A star came down from the sky. And not just any star." "So, which Astraeus am I?" said Lucky, pulse beating in his ears. "You do not know? Your mother never said who you really were?" "She never told me any of this. All she ever tried to do was protect me. But now I'm here. I need to know the truth. So tell me, which of the 12 am I? Am I the Astraeus of war?" His father drew a deep breath. He looked very grave. Lucky's stomach was tied up in knots. He could hardly bear not knowing any longer. "Tell him, Theobroma," gasped Mystica as the flickering flames burned low in the fireplace. "Even if it is as I fear, Lucky deserves to know the truth." "Lucky," said the king. He stood up to stoke the fire. "That is not your true name." "But that's what my mother called me." Theobroma's eyes flared. "Your mother!" he muttered. He prodded the fire with a poker, building it back up, making the embers crackle with sparks. "How like her to wish that fate for you, and to deny the destiny you were born for." "Why?" said Lucky. "What is it? Who am I? What's my name?" The king closed his eyes, and then he spoke the words. "Your name is Lucifer. Not Lucky, but Lucifer." "No," Lucky recoiled from his father. "Do not pretend you have never felt it," said the king. "You know what is in you, and what you can do. You are Lucifer, the 13th Astraeus, the one we never speak of. There is one in every mythology, a devil, a destroyer of worlds. And that is what you are. You are the nightmare that has haunted humanity throughout its history. And now you will put an end to humanity. For you are the very devil himself, the Astraeus of destruction." Lucky felt dizzy, like his head was coming away from his shoulders, like the ground was falling away beneath his feet. But, why? The king threw another log on the fire and the flames rose up, spitting sparks that spiraled towards the ceiling. "Space devils," he said. "That's what they call us. So let them feel the wrath of the real devil. Not just people who happen to be different to them, but the ancient and terrible power that sends whole races to hell. The Alpha and Omega, and the end of all things." And now, finally, Frolic spoke up again. He'd been silent all this time, just watching the king. But now at last he spoke, his eyes glittering with cool blue flame. "You know what, your majesty?" he drawled. "I don't think your story makes sense. No one can summon an Astraeus. If a star comes down from the sky, only the stars themselves can know why." "And who are you to make this claim?" asked the king with barely concealed disdain. Oh, didn't I say, replied Frolix, I'm the new Star Talker of the past. I'm the one who knows everything that's gone before. I even know about those lost legends of yours. The king dropped the poker and stared at Frolix open-mouthed. You may claim you summoned Lucky, Frolix went on, calmly, but I'll tell you what really happened. The stars sent him. You recognized what power he had, and you wanted to use it for your own ends. You still do. The king hesitated a moment, then his eyes flared again. Why else would the 13th Astraeus be here now at this time of destruction, if not to destroy?